Hey there riders, Motojourno Chris here. I have got a Yamaha MT-07 from Yamaha Motor Australia here, and I'm basically going to have a look at some of the accessories they fitted to this bike. And there's a couple of good additions here which I think make good value for money investments depending on what kind of riding you're doing. Probably the most obvious of those is the Akro Exhaust, as you can see here. Keep in mind with these particular bikes is they are a full system as they come from the factory. So you cannot buy a slip-on system for these. You will need to purchase a full system. Now this is the more expensive of the Akro options available via Yamaha. This is the full titanium system. It's got the carbon fiber tip on it. It's a really nice looking exhaust. It's got kind of that dual exit baffle in it by the looks of it. I'm not sure if that's removable. I haven't been able to see anything that would suggest it is, but it is listed as a closed circuit exhaust, which I would say suggests that maybe that can be removed, because as it stands with it fitted to the bike as it is now, it's got a beautiful bit of growl to it, but it's not overly loud. It's not obnoxiously loud, and it looks the business. It saves about 2 kilos of weight, which is under the axle line, so it's unsprung weight. So that's where you want to lose the weight. That's where you get the best value from that kind of money spent. And this is about $1,455 altogether, which for a full system, not too bad. It's not cheap, but it's not too bad. There's also another system available through Yamaha from Akro as well, and that is a cheaper system, I think around the $1,100 marks, but I don't reckon it looks quite as nice as this one, and it's not a full titanium system. I think that uses stainless steel headers. Now the other addition to this particular bike is the engine protection. Now this is a bit of an unusual design compared to what I've seen in the past. You're not getting a crash bobbin, you're not getting an engine case. What you're simply getting is basically this piece of plastic which bolts on and holds a rubber protector across the engine. So if you were to drop this bike, you're not going to have any issues with damage to the engine or to the coolant routing there. It's far enough out from the bike as well that it's going to offer quite a lot of protection. You might find that it protects the bike entirely if you also get the bars down. And while it's not, it kind of moves around a little bit, I do think that if it was sliding along the ground, that'd offer a reasonable amount of protection. Whether being so far out and kind of being a little bit loose means that it would eventually pull off the bike, I don't know. But then I guess if you're in a serious enough accident for that to be the case, there's always going to be issues anyway. So these can only reduce the amount of damage the bike takes, and in a lot of cases it'll mean that you don't have to pay any repair costs, which is a really good investment, but they're not a cure-all. If you have a big off, obviously there's only so much they can do. One thing worth mentioning with this, when I first jumped on the bike, because you'll see there's a bit of a small gap between the peg and the engine protection, I bumped my leg against that a couple of times, but I do have to say that, a week down the track, I did not even notice it was there. So I think if you're an owner of this bike, you'll very quickly become accustomed to that and it won't be an issue. But the first couple of times that you ride with them on, you probably will notice it. So just something to keep in mind. The other addition to this bike is the Yamaha comfort seat. This is actually a 2-piece seat system, so you get the rider seat and the pillion seat in the comfort version. And I've been riding it just with the comfort version. I've been relatively happy, like an hour and a half. It's comfortable when you're out riding on the open roads. Where I did notice I didn't find it quite as comfortable as when I'm just stuck in traffic, where I'm just sitting on the bike, and that's kind of one of those inescapable kind of situations, but it wasn't as comfortable in that situation. I'm going to put the stock seat on and I'm going to do a full review comparing the two for a bit of better comparison between them. So stay tuned for that if you're really interested in the comfort seat, because I think that's around the $400 mark. So that's a hefty investment, and you do want that to do a really good job if you're spending that kind of money on a comfort seat. Now the other feature on this bike, the other accessory from Yamaha, is the axle protectors. Now that's on the rear, which is a beautifully integrated system. You can barely even tell it's there. Obviously it's just offering a little bit of protection to the swing arm and to that rear axle. Great, again, if you have, a minor off on the bike, it's going to help reduce the amount of damage, and obviously it's going to also help reduce the chance of scratching that swing arm, which, that's one of those kind of big ticket items if anything goes wrong there. The same applies on the front. You've got the same brand from Yamaha axle protectors. That's Gillies or Gillies, I can never get it right. And that's a really high quality axle protector. Really, really nice piece of kit. And Again, that will help protect the bottom of your forks, and it just reduces the amount of possible damage that you might suffer, and might mean that you don't really need to pay much at all for repairs if something does go wrong. And for an everyday bike, that's really, really important, because of course, if you're riding it every day, there's more chance, that in slippery conditions you might go down, or you might leave it parked at work or uni or something like that and someone might knock it over. These things do sadly happen. Now I'm going to be adding a couple more accessories to this MT-07. We've got a screen, we've got levers, we've got those Gillies or Gillies levers, which are a really premium lever. We're going to be fitting those. We've also got some radiator guards, which will be a cool change from the standard plastic ones. I think we've got a chain guard as well, and we've got some stickers, some tank protectors with a bit more grip on them. So I'll be doing a full video on fitting those and my impressions of those accessories as well, so stay tuned for that. And as I said, I'll do a full comparison between the standard seat and that comfort seat, and I'm going to do a proper sound comparison of that Akro exhaust to give you a better idea of how it sounds as a rider on and off the bike. So if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to sub, hit that notification bell. As always, stay safe out there on two wheels, and thanks for watching.